A piecewise defined function are functions that are made up of pieces, and each piece works over a different part of the domain, the x-axis. Here's an example of a piecewise defined function. So instead of having one equation for the whole function, you have different equations for different parts of the x-axis. Here's another example of a piecewise defined function. Let's use a real-world example to help this make sense. Driving speed limits. In a school zone, the speed limit might be 15 miles per hour. On a regular city street, 30 miles per hour. And on a highway, it might be 70 miles per hour. So each part of the road has a different rule depending where you are, but it's still the same road trip. And that's just like a piecewise defined function. Different rules depending on where X is. Let's use another real-world example. When you enter college, you're considered a freshman. You haven't taken any classes, so you have 0 credit hours. You're going to remain a freshman all the way up to, notice it doesn't have a line underneath it, so it means it does not include 30. So about 29 credit hours. Now, once you hit 30, notice it does have a line underneath, which means it includes 30. If you know anything about inequalities, when it has a line, it means it includes the number. Doesn't have a line, it doesn't. So you'll be a sophomore all the way up to, and notice it does not include 60, so all the way up to 59 credit hours. Once you hit 60, you become a junior. You're going to be a junior all the way up to about 89 credit hours. Once you hit 90, you're a senior, and anything above that, you're still a senior, your last year there. So let's go ahead and graph that, and you'll see what the piecewise function looks like. And notice here, again, at 0, you are a freshman. That's why it is a closed circle. All the way up to, not including 30, so that's why it's an open circle. Once you're 30, notice it jumps up, and you're then a sophomore. You'll be a sophomore all the way to 59. At 60, jumps up to a junior, and so forth. It continues. So this is an example of what we would call a piecewise function. So if you have 60 credit hours, what is your status? Well, we look at where it includes 60. If we look at the pieces of the equations here, it includes 60 right there. When you are a junior. Notice it does not include it as a sophomore.